Well, good morning, guys. Here we are again. I believe this is like part 11 or something of our shed project. In our last video, you've seen the shed get painted and the trim get all painted. And in this video, I'm gonna install the trim onto the shed. I'm just gonna go around and do a couple of little adjustments that I noticed when I was painting. I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but you see how the jamb is recessed back in. This will affect the way our trim sits. So I just need to undo, the screws and kind of slide her frontward so she's flush. Then that way the trim will fit right. But what I'm gonna have to do to get trim on the shed here is, when I put my molding on, it's of course gonna overlap the door frame. So I'm gonna have to notch around the hinges here in the molding so it'll fit properly, as well as probably give a bit of an area here underneath the molding so it will fit flush because of the bolts. But pretty much every piece of molding on this shed's gonna be a custom fit. It's gonna be a cut on every piece. Weather-wise, it's going to be another one of those hot days out, just like we had when we were painting, if not maybe a little warmer. Yesterday they were talking about how it set records that weren't, last time they were set was like 1981, so, we broke some records. So let's get at her and see how far she goes. Okay, so before we can put on the trim, I need to put on this bottom board here. I don't know what it's called. It's called ledger board or what, but it's going to allow me to put a little bit of a doorstep on here without having to attach to the shed itself. It is a 2x4, but I shaved it down to 2 3/4, so I'd have the clearance underneath the doors. So it's all in place. It's all in place and everything. We just need to nail her down. And then we'll put the other side in. And then just give her a check to make sure the door is still open. So we'll get this nailed on, and then I'll give you guys a bit of an update from there. Well guys, as you can see, I've started on the trimming of the door. I've done my my top piece with a 45. Went down, and as I said, where the hinges were, I had a notch, so the hinge and the trim piece could kind of fit around the hinge. And same with the bottom one. And what I've done is I've put a little bit of green painter's tape, because after I'm done, I'm gonna go back through with a paintbrush and just touch up the open wood, as well as give this trim another coat, just because I've scratched it up in a few things. So I'm working on the other side here where the striker goes. It's just going to be a straight cut and nail. There's nothing really to modify on that one. And then when I'm done that, I'll be on to the other board. Well guys, I got the door all trimmed out. Just working on the corner trim here. What I've done is I've took the corner trim up to the bottom of the, basically with the top of the door, you know. And what I've done on the corner here is I've took it right up to the peak of the roof. It's going to look a little different for a little bit. But what my plan is when I go to side it, I'm going to cut it off here, and then I'm not sure if I'm going to have the siding overhang out, or if I'm going to do a different type of look with, we'll say like cedar or something. But for now the trim's going to go up to the top like that, just to carry it on. But I'm just throwing a few nails in her. But we got this side pretty much done, and just to work on the other three corners. And then by then I put paintable silicone in the corners here of the 45s, just because they weren't quite just perfect. And when that's all dry, I'll go back around and retouch up. As you see here, the difference in the paint from here to here. I'll retouch up that edge and a few other little things. Working on the far back corner here. Got the other three corners done, all nailed down and everything. I had a little whoops on this one. I cut the angle backwards, which, you know, I guess is no real big deal, because I got to break out the paint anyway. It's just, you know, means an extra coat or two where it would have been just a touch up with a nail or something. But this side's all done, and like as I said, I'm working on the corner right there. But other than that, it's going fairly decent. I need to track down some doorknobs or something to put for the latch on these doors. Other than that, you know, everything's pretty much falling in place. I'm gonna need to get myself some form of a doorstep here for it, and another you know, yard or so of gravel. But other than that, she's coming together, you know, fairly well. Well, I'll get this other corner nailed up, guys, and probably break out the paint and then give you guys an update from there. Well guys, just going over my trim here, looking for anything that needs to be retouched up, giving her a wipe down, you know, looking for edges, like I said, like this, where the paint's not thick enough. Wiping off all the, you know, sawdust and whatever else. And as checking for areas that need attention. Remember the other day when I talking about my blue paint that I've had for, like, you know, 3 years or whatever it is. I didn't quite know the date. Well, I got you know, looking on the lid, and I'm not sure if this camera will pick it up or not, but it says right here 8th month, the 22nd day of 2008. So I'd say that paint, this blue paint, is a few years old, and probably the only reason why it didn't dry out was because it was a new can. You know, didn't have a lot of airspace in it. I've just gone around the shed and kind of put a first coat in all the areas that were of issue. Just waiting for it to dry. And then I can throw a second coat. This was the board here that I had to flip over and do the other side on. Just waiting for it to dry, and then we'll throw another coat on her. My 45-degree corners are drying okay. Got to give them a couple more coats for them to cover. Other than that, everything's going fairly decent. Well, just sitting here watching my paint dry. Kinda, you know, thinking about the project and things that I've done on it and things that I could have done different. You know, things I would change if I could. The only real thing that I probably would change next time would be where I built the shed. However, because of the restriction on the height, which kind of makes you have to have a shorter doorway and shorter wall, it doesn't really affect the doorway much. You know, a 6-foot person can get in there, which is quite sufficient for my use. As for building it in another location on my lot, there really is no other place to build it that's not going to be out of place. As for the size, the 8x8 is quite sufficient for what my use is going to be. Any bigger, like 8x10 or anything like that, and then it would be intruding on what my plans are for the future, like my deck and stuff that I want to build. So all in all, I think the project is, you know, is turning out okay. As I said, I gotta hunt down doorknobs for it, which is not that big of a deal. You can pretty much buy those, you know, any hardware store type of deal. Other than that, it's going fairly good. As I said, I'm just watching the paint dry. The 45s there with the paintable silicone are covering quite well. Everything else is covered. I'm pretty close to cleaning up. I just want to make sure that it's all okay before I clean up. Other than that, she's good to go. Well guys, there you go. All the paint and trim is done. As I said, all it's really left are the door handles and to do the landscaping here around, and to build the kind of a doorstep thingy right here on the front. You know, it'll come out, I don't know, 18 inches or something. I am not entirely sure if I want to do the wiring this year or wait till next year, because I really don't need electricity in here. You know, it's just nice to have a light in the shed so you're not, you know, in the dark or anything. But as always guys, thank you for watching Maxwell's World. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.